So we had a new build, and the builder put in just this hang up, and then this little hang up, and then these 4 shelves, which are really narrow. And as you can see, it is a mess, totally disorganized. Everything's just shoved into places to try to get maximum storage. And here is an area behind the door for some shoes. Also not ideal. So we're going to start ripping everything out and show you what we are going to do about it. We're going to do this in sections because I don't want to rip everything out of the whole closet, and I don't have time to do it all in one day anyway. So we're going to start with this section first. And you'll see the change. Okay, so I got all the stuff cleared off of here. And now I got to take these apart. So I got to unscrew all these little clasps that are holding up the shelf. And our idea is to repurpose these as much as possible. So stay tuned. As with every project, there's always something, and these do not come out easy. So this thing right here, we've taken this screw out, and you have to, I don't know if this is typical for installation, but we did not put these in. Anyway, there it is. Finally, one down. 3 more to go.
So these are interesting, difficult to take apart. There's a big blob that happens behind them. So you either yank these out, or you could, like that, or you can cut them and jam them back in. So.
To get these little things out that were holding the shelves up, so these little pieces, I'm just having to take a plier and so I stripped the screw on this one. So all I'm doing is using a pair of pliers and turning it. And that is actually going to work. Like that. That will take it out. Once you get the screw out, if you're lucky enough to be able to do that, you have to take your pliers and start with one hand. Here we go. Just yank them out with the pliers. There. And there are a lot of big holes, but that is what spackle is for. Almost done. 2 more. This is not as simple as it looks.
All right, this always happens at least once in a project. A screw head gets stripped out from the drill. So this is one technique, is you can use a pair of these pliers, grip it and grab, start rotating. Another one is you can actually cut slots using a Dremel. It's a bit more work than this, and sometimes you have to do that even if you're doing this. But just keep turning it. Kind of grabbing the back side of this as well to really grab it good. And there you go.
Okay, all of the shelves have been taken down. And now we're stuck with a lot of holes. And I will get spackling next. Okay, so you can use regular spackling to fill the holes, but I felt like the holes were pretty big and you're going to use up a lot of this to fill those holes up. So we decided to use this Easy Sand, and this is a drywall compound, joint compound. And basically it's just a powder. Show the powder. And I scooped it out and put it in this yogurt container and added just enough water, and you stir it up and you make a nice thick joint compound, and then you fill the holes. For the holes, the easiest thing to do is actually just push in all the little pieces that got pulled out. If they exist, this is a big one here. You just push it in. And okay. Once you make sure the drywall compound is mixed, you don't have any dry pieces left, you just take a goop and you stick it on the holes. And I'm probably going to have to run this through twice. So I'm just going to do a first whatever you call this, swipe. And then once this dries, I'll sand it, and then I'll do another one so it comes out nice and smooth and you won't be able to see the holes here anymore. So once the first coat of the joint compound has dried enough, and you'll notice that like this is still a little wet, it's darker, but this is dry. You take a sanding sponge or just sandpaper and you can just start rubbing, and make sure you wear a mask. And you just do a nice light sand. That one's wet. So it's even down. You want to make sure it's even. And then any type of holes that are still existing, you can go back with a second coat and fill it in. Okay, I didn't realize joint compound dries quick. So make sure you just make enough for one batch and then throw it out because it's just going to harden up. Or just get a big thing of spackle. Okay, so now I've moved the dresser out, and I'm going to take out this clothes hanger, and we're going to insert the shelves here. I still have, we're going to put two here, if clean out that, and then we got this one put up, and we're going to put a shelf above there, and then we'll have some wire baskets below for drawers. And I still have to paint. I've been painting. Just a real light, very light color that just gave it some sheen. Because in here we have flat white, and it's awful. So I ran into a little issue here. This short drill bit will not take this out because it hits. There's not enough room. Okay, I can't do this with one hand, but you get the story. It just won't work. So this is what I have, and this is what I'm going to do instead. So now I put this extension on, and it gives me room to get in here and get this screw to take it out. Okay, now it's time to hang up the shelves. And I got this big wall, so this is going to take 2 people, and you need to come off about 1/4 inch from the corner. And then you're going to put a mark 2 inches in for the holder. And then from there, but make sure you go between these two, obviously. And then you're going to do 1 foot down and mark. So what we did here is, see, there's that first one, and then you go down 1 foot. And then there's another mark, and all the way down. Where's the next one? Anyway, and then you mark it, and then you're going to put in the little holders, and we'll continue with that next. So here's an example of what we did. So we marked it. So this is the 2 inches in, and then oh, actually that's the mistake. So this is 2 inches in. And then we go down, mark it, there's 1 foot going down all the way. There's another foot all the way down to the edge.
And support
So for this sort of shelf, there's 2 separate supports.
for the ends.
Yeah, so you can put this on the end like that
Other
to,
way
hold,
around,
to
yeah.
hold the shelf up. You have that one, but I don't like these because they take up space. So since we have a wall here, we can use this one, this thing, and it'll go in there, and that'll work fine.
Also, one thing to consider, for the lower part of the shelves, we are using these brackets. But for that first shelf, because we want to use our dresser for pull-out shelves, we have to go at least this height, which is about 1 foot, for the first shelf. If we go lower than that, the bracket gets in the way and limits how far in we can push our dresser. So we're doing 13 inches just to be safe. So we're going to use these for inserts for the main supports. So this, I'm going to reuse these. So that's going to be a little bit tricky. But basically I need to push this into the wall, and then once the screw starts screwing it, it'll bunch up against the back of the wall. So I'm trying to select the right drill bit. I'll probably go with this one, start with this one and see how it goes. All right, so now we're putting the holes in. We leveled this out. We did 2 inches from one end and then about 11 to 12 inches thereafter. So here's a little interesting issue that comes up with construction all the time. You have to, we have a hole we put in here and another one over here, and they look like they might be a little bit off. We measured them, and it looks like to drill the center hole would make it a little unlevel. So what we're going to do is just average it out. We're going to be a little bit high on this end, and a little lower on this end, and then it'll come out flat after that. But just these little tweaks sometimes are required to make the job happen. All right, this is what a new one looks like, and we're using some used ones. So it's going to be a bit more of a challenge to put in, but it's been working fine. So just hammer these in, and you got to make sure that it's straight. And we do not screw these in yet. We're going to leave it open so it doesn't clamp down on it doesn't clamp on the shelf yet. Okay, next you just drop this shelf in, and you don't want to yank down on these like that. You want to push them in. And you can see we didn't screw these in yet because we want them to be loose to allow it to move up and down. And the reason for that is I'm using these end pieces, but they're made for a shelf that has a deeper and bigger lip. So what I'm going to do is actually just cut this wire, and it'll sink down. So you can see above we did that. So we'll come around here and show you. So the wire's cut. Just that one on the outside, it's not going to impact anything. Okay. You just use a pair of wire cutters to cut 2 spots. There we go. And now we can reuse it. We'll level it and put this piece in. And what I did here, I used a template. This one's a template. And again, these other ones are used. So I'll take this out and then put it above and put it in. Because it's a little more difficult when you're reusing these instead of using brand new. But that's the way it goes. All right, so here's another trick. I need to level it this direction. But it wants to fall into these ridges. So what I do is I just offset it a little bit. This will still work even if it's offset some. If I go this much, then it's not going to give me the right reading. But just a little bit off will. It's kind of one of those tricks you just pick up and do out of desperation. So now I'll just mark for this. Drill our holes and pound it in. We swing this up, put these in. These are taking quite a bit more force than the other ones. And you have to you have to go back and forth between them too. There we go, and then we'll screw it in from there. And there you go. All right, next we put the brackets in, and this will fit it underneath. We'll mark it, and then drill it, and then put it in. All right, so this one I just attach up here first, rotate it back, and then mark my spot. And I'll drill a hole. Now, one thing that's interesting about these are made for 12-inch shelves. And I'm using 16, which I think will be just fine. It's only a couple inches over overhang. And so there'd still be plenty of support. And it's exactly the same rod, it's just longer. So I don't think it really buys any whole lot anyway. Probably just an upsell for the company. All right, wouldn't you know it, on the last one, ran into a stud. So again, another modification. I just took one of these plastic inserts. I'm just gonna use it as a washer. And I'll put the other one on, but I'm just gonna stick it in and then put the screw in and screw it down into the stud. Another workaround seems to always come up when you're doing these construction projects. Things they don't always show you, that's for sure. Boom. All right, so while we're doing this, we decided to do something else, and that is shim our dresser up another couple inches so that our robot vacuum can get under there, because it's gotten really dirty, pretty nasty when it doesn't. All right, so here's the big reveal. Wow. So yeah, they went in pretty quickly after the first one, and then we have our dresser below for pull-out drawers. Lift it up so the vac can get under it, and it's not our dream closet, but we really don't need one. Next, what we're going to do is repurpose these shelves to go up above the wardrobe bars. And then we have these wire pullouts as well.